But one of the segments that's coming up on Retro ITR is amazing. It's probably Debra's finest performance in the World Wrestling Federation, or maybe her
One
finest
of,
performance
one of,
ever.
one of. I think she was just hits out with belters, but yeah, one
Yeah.
of.
Like I think she's just fantastic in this episode. We have the ongoing story of Debra's cookies being terrible. She's constantly baking cookies as a kind gesture, but it's one of those kindnesses that nobody really wants to receive. And because the cookies are just awful, like Booker T ate one last week and he almost threw up, and Austin was like, "What did you do that for?" And he's like, "You were encouraging me to." So we've had this long ongoing story where Debra just can't bake cookies but insists on baking them anyway. And Steve Austin is constantly disparaging her and disparaging her cookies and won't eat them.
Terrible husband. Terrible
Terrible
husband.
husband. He's
Just
always
for
saying,
anyone, yeah, for anyone in the chat who is either engaged with somebody, planning on getting married one day, that is not the way to treat your wife. I'm just
no,
saying.
because he's constantly just like, why are you interrupting me? Why are you trying to speak? Why are you accepting Kurt Angle's challenge on my behalf? Why are you doing all of these things, right? And he just wants her to sit down in the corner. I mean, he's literally kind of like taken her and just put her in the cupboard before and been like, no, you sit here and you have to stay back here. And she's just trying to be a good person providing cookies to the world, even if they're terrible.
Exactly. She's an angel, is Debra.
She
An angel.
is an actual angel. And so she's finally had enough of Steve Austin's bullshit. And she's like, you know what? I'm going to take my cookies out and I'm going to give them to the crowd here on SmackDown. I'm going to, share the wealth with and the crowd is eating them. The crowd is loving
Oh my goodness.
it.
Yeah, I remember that because like she goes out and then she's like, right, here's the final test, and like she goes around and everyone's like, I remember them panning to shots of the crowd and people are like, yeah, they're so good, like proper lapping them up. And she's like pure all chuffed, and then that's when he comes in and just ruins the party.
He does ruin the party. She's just trying to share cookies with the soon to be WWE universe, the WWF crowd at the time. And he comes in and he grabs the microphone from her and he's talking about accepting Kurt Angle's challenge. And my favorite, even before she whacks him over the head with the cookie tray, like when he starts talking and she just grabs the microphone from Steve Austin and she's like, as I was saying.
Yes. Oh my God, of course. Yeah, forget this exchange where it's like that. And then he's just like, as I was saying, and I was like,
and he grabs it from her and they're actually like grabbing the microphone from each other and interrupting each other. Like that's as good to me as the eventual like payoff to the segment, because her actually standing up for herself and grabbing the microphone from him, which nobody does, like nobody dares to do that, and she's just wanting to celebrate her cookies. She's like, how does the crowd like my cookies? And they're all like, yay Debra, yay your cookies, yay amazing. And he's like, as I was saying, Kurt Angle has challenged me for this title and I don't appreciate it and whatever. And she cuts him off mid-sentence again, and he finally grabs it again from her and she has had enough. She dumps the cookies out onto the ground, takes the cookie tray, awkwardly runs up to him because she kind of lifted it too early.
It's that run up, but that's what I remember. It's like it's the run up to it, because she like a proper does this like wee like brrr, like in like cartoons when they're like running and they start on the spot.
It's almost like the Roadrunner with like their feet spinning and everything. Totally.
That's what I remember, is this run up, and I was like, oh my God, what's she gonna do? And then he eventually turns around, and to be fair, it looks so good. If I remember correctly, it looked so good.
Because she whacks him right on the head, and it's a really thin cookie tray. Like, it's not something that you think is really going to, like, hurt necessarily. But he sells it like he's been shot.
Yeah.
He's just like, what has happened? Because nobody steps to Steve Austin, right? And especially not Debra, because, like, he's been constantly telling her to sit down, shut up, not, bother him, and she finally stepped to him and he's just like, what is this? The tables have turned, like everything's gone crazy, and she just walks off. She's like, you know what, I've had my fill of this.
And then he's like scrambling on the floor eating the cookies like, Debra, I love them. I love the cookies.
Come back, I love the cookies. He's like trying to eat one and everything, because earlier in the night too, I should mention, he ate some of Stacy Keibler's cookies that she had made, and Debra took great offense to this because he wouldn't eat her cookies at all. Exactly.
As you would. I'm telling you, like, if that was me, if I was Debra, I'd be like, that grounds for divorce. And I mean, like, let's look, as history now, or hindsight, wonderful thing, it obviously did not work out. So
I mean, that's the only uncomfortable thing about the segment, is that it feels a little too real. Like, where it's like, yeah, that's kind of checks out, where that might have been an actual problem, and some things happen later on in that relationship.
Yeah, maybe it wasn't cookies, but there was definitely something else.
There were definitely some other problems happening in their relationship.